You've heard a lot of productivity tips and time management tips, obviously. Today, I want to talk about the big one that I've seen all of my successful business owner and CEOs clients do. It's kind of like the common thread of all of them is they do this particular hack. And because, you know me, I'm a giver, I sprinkle it with a few more tips that I've seen worked a lot on myself, on my business, on my clients' business. So if that sounds helpful, I hope you'll enjoy. And as usual, let's rock. Welcome to this episode of Peaceful Productivity Techniques, where I help business owners put back 3 hours back in their calendar, double their team productivity so that they can be the dad that their children deserves. My name is Arnaud. I'm a productivity and business coach. Pumped to be here today because it's actually the first time that I managed to record 2 of those episodes in the same day. So it's actually put a smile on my face and well on track for one of my goals this year to record 52 episodes for 52 weeks. So today we're going to talk about the time management hack that CEOs that I work with and that I've seen personally crush it in terms of productivity use. Not only this one, but a few others that are, I believe, complementary. But first, let's look at why time management and time management hack are useful. We don't want to become a productivity machine because we're humans, and what matters is human connections. What matters if we want to live a fulfilled life, grow our business, obviously, so we can increase our impact, but also live in a way that we are happy to wake up every day and we get to focus on the right things. Time management shouldn't be put to 11. But if you have it on 8 or 9 or 10, that's very pleasant because that gives you so much more time to do the things that you want to do, or so much more time to relax and do things that are not needed for your business, but are needed for you living a fulfilling. Before I get into the main course of the time management hack that I've seen so many CEOs and business owners apply successfully to put many hours back in their calendar, let's start with some of the very powerful time hack that you can use in your organization is reduce the default length of meetings. And this, I mean twofold. You can communicate to your team that the default meeting won't be 60 minutes, 50 minutes, or 45 minutes, and that the short term won't be 30 minutes, 20 or 15. Then you can apply it by modifying the parameter in your calendar. If you're using the Google Suite or if using the Microsoft Suite, doesn't matter. This is something that you can change in the settings so that when they click to create, so that when they want to create a meeting, it will automatically be set to this length that you've chosen. Simple, effective. A ton of my clients use that and tell me how much time is saved, not only for them, but in their team's productivity. Because once the meeting, if you show up for a meeting and you know that there is a lot of things to be covered and you have just 45 minutes, then there's no time to F around. You just get to the thing and you communicate everything that's needed very fastly and effectively. And by you, I don't mean just you, but I mean every member of your team. So it might take a few days or weeks to implement. But once the people are getting used to it, it's a real time saver that just takes you a couple of clicks and a couple of communication to apply. Another time management hack or time management tips, if you will, that I see across the board of all my productive clients who are CEOs and business owners, and actually all across the board of entrepreneurship, and which is a big part of how I manage my own time, is the use of batch activity. I was actually talking about that to a client earlier today. Instead of checking your emails 10 times during the day, instead of your team checking their mail 10 times a day, have specific moments during the day where they do a particular action. I took email as an example, but you can do that with everything. Cold call, sprint, completing invoices, answering to customer tickets. If instead of sprinkling that through your day or through your team's day, you have some specific windows where you do that, you will save a lot of time in micro actions like opening a window there, closing a window there, launching a program there, switching to another program here. But more importantly, you will get a lot of time in terms of your brain power, your mental power, and your presence. Because every time you switch from one activity to the next, it takes a while to your mind to fully be present in the new one. If you switch 10 times a day, then 10 times a day, you need to make this little adjustment. And maybe you become very good at doing that, but that's not the most efficient way of doing that. And before we put efficiency, we want to make sure that we're efficient in a great process. So if you apply what I shared earlier about the default length of meetings, and you train yourself and your team to batch the activities, batch everything that's batchable during the day, you're already saving a lot of. I think that's enough for the entrees, the whole. And now let's get into the main time management that I've seen so many powerful and productive CEOs use. And this time management technique or strategic is delegation. Don't throw rotten tomatoes at me. I know what you're going to say. That's not a technique. Bear with me. Delegation done right is time management. So let's jump into this and see very clearly what you can do to increase your delegation skills by 5%, by 10%. And then you can come back and rewatch this video and do it again and again and again to eventually triple your delegation skills. First principle of more effective delegation is know what you want to delegate. That sounds obvious. If you just go from I need to delegate more to I want to delegate tasks that are under my own pay grade as the business owner, it's already a massive shift. Because then it gives you a filter through which you can, through your day, be aware of the tasks that are below your pay grade and be like, okay, this I should be delegating. And so the next day or the next week or the next time that this particular task appears, you remember that and you can delegate it because you recognize it. If you just go around thinking I need to delegate more, then it's kind of overwhelming and not very strategic. So being precise on what you need to delegate. Actions which are below your pay grades are a good filter to decide for an action to be delegated. Actions that you really don't like to do at all, that you hate doing, it's a good filter as well. Actions that maybe you don't know how to do and are not excited about learning how to complete are not a good candidate for things to delegate. I let you be the judge, but know what you want to delegate first. The second techniques that I've seen a lot of good managers and business owners do is to know the process before you delegate it. And this one, again, handle with caution. You cannot be a specialist in everything before you delegate. This is full disclosure. This is something that I sometimes struggle with. Before I delegate something, I really want to make the process myself. If I wasn't doing that, it's possible that I would be more successful than what I have. I take a lot of pleasure creating these processes, so I keep doing that. This is a theme between me and my coach to know that could be holding me back, or if that could be a sabotage technique. But I think to some extent, knowing what you're delegating and knowing very least the results that you expect and the so-called definition of is super, super important. Let's talk about an example. I delegate most of what's needed for production of this video that you're watching right now, or listening, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, which, by the way, if you are, I would really appreciate if you could leave a review. It takes just a few seconds. You can do that while listening, just need your thumbs, and it really helps other people discover, and I appreciate you greatly if you can. And so I delegate most of it. Basically, I record, I do a quick editing in a software that saves me. Then I pass it along my assistant, the editing, the thumbnail, automates posting or scheduling of episode, etc., etc. I did took a great pleasure in creating the processes that she goes through, but then obviously, then I step back and I just let her improve the own process because I want her to be as efficient as possible. What I do though is that I ask her to take notes of the process that she's doing when she improves on my process, so that if she grows within the company or if she decides to leave at some point, I can pass that along to the next person and know that we keep this baseline of efficiency. So have a clear definition of success. For example, for the thumbnail, every week she creates two new thumbnails, and every week I do some feedback on that so that we keep improving. And there are some guidelines which are piling up. Thumbnail should have my face with a clear photo retouched with AI. Big titles, no more than 3 or 4 words in the thumbnail, and the titles are some other parameters. And every week we improve of that. The definition of good is clear. This way I can delegate that with peace of mind, because I know that then we will compare that, and she will compare her work with the guidelines and the definition. So the first principle I talked about is knowing what to delegate. The second one is being clear on your definition of good once you delegate. The third one that we're talking about now is knowing who to delegate to. The way I like to do that is to filter very early people who work for me by giving them micro tasks. For example, before I hire somebody, I might ask them to send me their CV or to go to a certain website, log into a certain website, and do a 5-minute assignment and then send it through me on Telegram. I phrase that this particular way because within this simple assignment that won't take them more than 10 or 15 minutes, there's a whole bunch of red flags that can be activated. For example, if I ask the person to write me on Telegram and that they write me by email, I'm like, okay, didn't follow instruction properly. And it's worth discussing. And why did you choose to write me through email? If the person went to the website but didn't find the thing, that's another red flag. If the person took 3 days to answer, that's also a potential red flag. So by the time this first very small assignment is done, I already have a pretty good idea if that person is a good fit for my team or not. And I've used this technique for more than 15 years now. And I know, because that's the length of my collaboration with my first assistant, I love and who's amazing, who's been with me all these years. And that's how we started. And she kept delivering time and again, which leads me to the second part of this principle. So filter early with some assignments that shows you how a person actually acts in the field, and then continuously communicate, continuously feedback, and ask for feedback. Miscommunication is the enemy of peaceful delegation. Oh, but I thought you meant this. Oh, but when you said this, I saw that you said that. Set a fixed schedule for meeting, for communications, or for asynchronous communication. I do recommend you have a one-on-one with your close team member at least once a month, ideally once a week. All the CEOs that I've worked with and that I'm working with at the moment, all the business owners, they use those principles. So my question to you guys is, which one are you going to improve on or to implement this week? Are you going to focus more on big one, delegation? And if yes, which part of it are you going to focus on? Or are you going to look at the entrees? Are you going to change the length of your meeting? Are you going to be clearer about what you delegate? Let me know in the comments here on YouTube which one you're going to. And if you want more information on how you can save more time, there's a link to another video down below. So I invite you to go ahead and click it, watch it. And if you're listening on podcast, there should be the link to the video as well, or you can go to the episode number. And I hope that this was useful. And as usual, peace.